good. You know, it's very tough, man, because as a race car driver, I'm very greedy, and if I don't win the championship, I wouldn't say that it was a perfect season. With that being said, I felt that it was a huge step from first year of Trackhouse to second year of Trackhouse. I feel like last year we were a promising team, and right now we're a reality. And right now I feel like we've been working very hard to build a powerhouse, and I think that we have done that. And we're going to continue to fight. I personally think that the 99 team still has a lot of things to improve, and for me, obviously there is not a lot of people that know or understand this, but for me to understand all these things and know how we're running, I know that there is potential for more. That's very exciting. So I'm very happy where I am. I'm very happy already with Trackhouse, the 99 team. I have an amazing team, and we're gonna continue to fight. Obviously, you know, I wish I was still in the playoffs fighting for a championship. It just wasn't in the cards for us, but we still have the speed and the everything, honestly, to give these guys a fight. So we're gonna continue to do that and close this season as strong as possible, so we can start building momentum already for next year.
All right, we'll go over to your right, MRN.
Daniel, you guys talked about the test here too with the new car. How much those tires drop off and how quickly are they dropping off here at this track, which obviously is going to push you more out to the outside wall?
Yeah, very quickly. Honestly, probably the fastest I ever remember. The last time we were here, you know, before the next gen car, we were in a high downforce package. So the last time we were here with a lower downforce package, it was a long time. And honestly, to my opinion, it feels, in the long run, it feels that way. You know, it feels like you don't have any grip, but it's fun. You know, that is gonna make the racing, I think, very fun. I think you guys are gonna enjoy that. I think we're gonna start the first 10 laps, and you guys are gonna see cars like bees everywhere, and slowly we're gonna be migrating to the top, just like we have always done. And see what happens. I think that in the long run it's gonna be tough to pass. That's the reality, but it's been always that way here. So once everyone migrates to the top, it's gonna be tough to pass because everyone is gonna be running very close to the wall. But we see how it works. It's pretty free when you're running in the wall. So if you're too free, maybe you can run the wall. So there is gonna be a few options. There is a few things I have in my mind. We see how things play out.
Bob Pockris.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. With the penalties to Cole and Bubba the last couple of weeks, do you have, A, did NASCAR send a message to drivers, and B, did it change any of your perspective of what you might do, you know, in order to help Ross, and or what you might do when thinking about retaliation?
Honestly, it hasn't changed anything in the way I think or the way I do things, because in my opinion, both of those moves were extremely dumb, both of them. And both of them, I was gonna be extremely surprised if they were not penalties. Like, before even those situations happen, I will never do something like that. I mean, not that clear. You have to be smarter. I don't know what those guys were thinking, but you know, I'm glad NASCAR is reacting to this, because you know, when it's too much, you know, when it's too much of helping a teammate, and people know, you know, I race everyone very hard, but yeah, in the next few weeks, I'm gonna race Ross not super hard, just because he's my teammate. I know what is ahead of him. I'm gonna keep racing him hard. You know, I will never give up a win to help him. You know, but definitely, you know, my level of aggression to my teammate right now is gonna be a little bit lower. But I will never break to give up a position. You know, I know the consequences of that. That's not you know, that's not professional. The same thing, wrecking somebody the way that it happened last week, it's not smart, especially with everything that is happening right now. So honestly, I'm glad that NASCAR stepped in and they were able to put everyone in their places, because it was too much.
All right, we'll go to the back over there.
Hi, Daniel. Tim Reynolds at the Associated Press here in Miami. Is it only natural that when you come to South Florida, you just feel a little more comfortable? I mean, you know there's going to be quite a few people saying vamos instead, and all those good things. Is it just, do you feel an extra benefit when you come here? Do you feel some comforts of kind of like home?
Yeah, definitely do. You know, there is a lot of people talk to me in Spanish. I mean, everything starts, I would say, driving to a racetrack. You know, if you turn the radio, you start flipping stations and everything is in Spanish. And then, you know, we get to a racetrack and most of the security people speak Spanish. So it just feels different. You know, the energy feels, they make me feel like home. And that feels very, very amazing. I really feel good. It's hard to explain that to people because, you know, I don't expect everyone to understand this, but really me being away from home 98% of the time, and being able to have these experiences, it feels very, very good. You know, Miami is this way. There is many racetracks that are that way. Every Texas, every single race in the West Coast. I really feel more like home coming to places like this, and I know that there's gonna be a lot of fans speaking to me in Spanish and bringing some Mexican flags and with a lot of support, and that's something that really I enjoy a lot.
We'll go to Holly and then up here.
Daniel, just kind of along these lines, does it feel like the racing is a little more aggressive this year in these playoffs than it has in the past, or do we just think that because it's present time and it just seems like that, or how about from your perspective?
You know, that's a very good question. I have good or bad, I think I have a very short memory when it comes to that kind of stuff. I think back then, last year, I think racing was pretty aggressive as well, but I think that just because the package, it was aggressive maybe for longer because everyone was more tight together because we had a high downforce package and less power. Right now, I feel like it's almost like a hybrid between the high downforce that we used to have and the low downforce that we used to have. But I personally think that we race equally aggressive. Last week actually I had a pretty good experience because I was in the front the entire first half of the race, stage 1 and 2, the top 5, top 3, leading the race. And I was like, man, we got this. And then we had a very bad pit stop and I went to the back and I was like, holy, like, all right, this is where the dogfight is. So yeah, I mean, everyone is very aggressive, especially in stage 3. And yeah, I mean, as a race car driver, I enjoy that. But yeah, I think just being in the present right now, we see everyone very, very aggressive and I feel like everyone enjoys that. You guys as media and us as drivers as well.
Go right up here.
Javier Mota, NASCAR Latino. Can we do one in Spanish?
Of course, claro.
Daniel, un poco recordar, hace 8 o 10 años venías aquí a Homestead cuando empezabas, luego ganaste aquí obviamente con la Xfinity Series. Recordar qué es para ti venir a Homestead-Miami Speedway.
Sí, es especial venir a Homestead. Es una pista que significa mucho para mí, no solamente dentro de la pista, pero también fuera de la pista. Como ya mencionaba hace unos momentos en inglés, que es un lugar el cual obviamente hay demasiados latinos y me hace sentir en casa, muchísima gente hablando español y eso es algo bonito, que para mí en lo personal no lo puedo vivir así todos los días, desafortunadamente, pero cuando vengo a lugares como Homestead-Miami definitivamente es especial. Y bueno, dentro de la pista es una pista muy divertida, una pista que tiene muchas opciones, una pista la cual ya ha tenido éxito en el pasado, como tú sabes, y bueno, ojalá que podamos mantener el momento que hemos tenido últimamente de velocidad y demás para poder, ojalá, poder pelear por esa victoria el día de mañana.
Jerry Jordan.
Jerry Jordan kicking the tires that night again. So next week we're at Martinsville, and there's probably several people that have made some deposits in the Retaliation aggressive driving through the season so far, and we're getting down to where people can't pay that back.
We can. You have to be smart about it. You know, you can do it the way that Wallace did it. That's completely unacceptable. But retaliation is not wrecking somebody like that. Retaliation, you can put somebody in the wall a little bit. NASCAR won't penalize you for that. But what happened last week, it was just over the line.
Do you see Martinsville next weekend as being a kind of chaos with some of the stuff that we've seen, the people that owe people here and there through the year?
You know, the way I see it, there is a couple guys that actually owe me something. But the way I see it is that you don't, this is just my opinion, I don't wait for Martinsville to say, okay, these two guys owe me something, I'm gonna pay them back in Martinsville. I don't think it works like that. The way I think it works, it just comes to you, you know? If one day, you know, that guy that did something to you, you know, is close to you, and for some reason you're struggling, maybe that's the day that you are gonna give, you know, that back. And again, he's not wrecking, he just give that person a very, very impossible life, and maybe even put him in the wall a little bit, or remind him, hey, do you remember what happened a few months ago? You know, it happens. I don't think that you wait for one racetrack to do those things. I think the moment just presents itself.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for joining us. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to continue our media availabilities here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. We are now joined by Ross Chastain, driver of the number 1 Trackhouse Racing Chevrolet. We will go right into questions for us. Start with Jerry.
Jerry Jordan kicking the tires sign. That you already know it's coming because you heard it a while ago. But speaking of one of those aggressive drivers in the garage, you come up here. You may have some people that owe you 1 or 2 dozen from earlier this year. Are you worried about it? And how will you handle yourself? Trying to get out of this race and into next week at Martinsville.
Just go race. I think that's what's so great about this sport is every 7 days we pack up, move the circus to another town, and we do it all again, right? So I feel like I'm in a good spot in the garage. You know, the summer was definitely tough, and I learned a lot from a lot of that, and we'll continue to learn and evolve throughout this sport and this series. It's incredible to race against your heroes, but it's kind of odd and humbling when your heroes get mad at you. So it's been a learning experience for sure.
All right, we'll go to Jordan and then Bob.
Yeah. Talk about this being a learning experience. What did you learn?
Just like there's so many races and so many opportunities to pass and be passed. It's not all about the here and now. Like I had to stop living in the moment of each lap and race, definitely with a mindset of a broader look across the whole season and see that the entire body of work will get me a lot farther than one pass, not caring about what happens and just putting high risk and putting a lot at risk for what, right? 4th, 7th, why does that really matter? And that if I just look at the whole body of the season, especially with the speed we've had, and letting the car do a lot of the work for me, that then when we get in those positions to win or to go, you know, for that spot late, that it comes a whole lot easier when you've just done it a better way, you know, 2 months before. These guys, they have incredible memories, so they, you know, as I've evolved and learned, it's been easier to race, and that's been nice.
How would you describe your relationship with the fans? It seems, you know, that your blue collar, you know, your story, get here, and the fact that you've got a little bit of aggressiveness when you drive, that seems to be something that fans are kind of gravitate towards. I'm wondering if you've noticed that and what that relationship is like.
Yeah, it is. It's incredible. You know, I don't. You know, we're known in South Florida for farming and agriculture. We're not known for racing. So the Chastain family is not a namesake in the sport. So I didn't come in with a predisposed reputation of my dad. I mean, my dad raced locally down here in South Florida, but it wasn't on this stage. So you know, we've built up our fan base kind of grassroots level through the Mellowman brand and through my racing over the last decade in the sport. And I haven't done myself probably a lot of favors with my social media and my online presence to push myself, but that's just not me. I'm not one that's just gonna willingly and naturally go and just, you know, post selfie videos and do YouTube channels. My group has to push me, but I've surrounded myself with people that we're evolving and we're learning how to present ourselves on social media, right? And I think that combined with the speed of the Trackhouse cars has created, you know, a lot more cheers at driver intros and some boos, right, along the way. And then I also didn't do myself any favors in those moments, I'd say throughout the summer, where like the spotlight was on us and I got out and my post-race interviews were not were not appealing. I look back and I'm like, I wouldn't root for that guy. That guy's, he drives one way, then he talks the other, and he doesn't know what he wants, and he apologizes, and it's like, hey, okay, yeah, I get it. So that's part of the evolution as well, I think.
Does the booze bother you at all? Do you care, or is it just what it is and what you do about it?
You know, it's funny because when I hear him, I almost smile because it's wild. It's wild that people care enough about me and my racing career. I think that's why they're booing me, at least, that they want to boo me. And they'll audibly stand up or whether they're sitting down or whatever, I can't really tell, and they'll do it. So I smile. It's just kind of been my natural reaction. But yeah, I mean, it's different, right? It's not something that as a kid, no kid, right, wants to be booed. You be booed on the playground at recess, and you don't be booed in a NASCAR race. But I'm a big boy now, and I've learned that like it's gonna happen, and we got a lot more cheers than boos. I can say that.
All right, we'll go to Bob, and then Mike Bagley, and then Holly.
Bob Cockers, Fox Sports. Denny was on Danica's podcast the other day, and he said that when you guys went to breakfast, you said, when you grew up racing, you had to knock somebody out of the way to pass, pretty much. And I'm curious, when did it kind of occur to you, if that's accurate, when did it occur to you, like, man, that's not the way everybody grew up racing, and that's not the way everybody races?
Yeah. I think people remember things in a better light than they might have actually been. Like, we remember the good old days a little better than the old days might have actually been. And look, I grew up with guys at a Saturday night short track over on the west coast of Florida, and yeah, that was Randy Fox. He crashed and fought for 7th in a late model race, and had beverages after and hung out all night in the pits after the race. I don't think it was just this perfect little racetrack in Virginia that everybody raced so eloquently. I just think the good old days might be being remembered a little better than they actually were. So, but it's good though. It is at this level. Look, some of the things I did throughout the summer were just not, that looking back, I would do them different. And some of it would just be my stance after the race I would do different. But a lot of on-track stuff I could definitely clean up. But the Cup Series, I've never driven cars this fast, and I wanted to like just take full advantage of it because I thought it might go away. And now, as I've seen throughout the playoffs, is where it really opened my eyes that Trackhouse's arrival here is to stay. We're not just a flash in the pan. Early in the season, when the car was fresh and no one really knew how the springs and shocks worked. So yeah, my guys that I raced against growing up, Joe Winchell, these guys, I watched them when I was running the pro trucks, and they were running late models, and then when I got in late models in the pro trucks as well, are just slam or be slammed. And I think the good old days are being remembered better than they are or were.
Go ahead, Mike.
Mike Bagley, MRN Sirius XM. You mentioned your family, and obviously you're from Alva over by Fort Myers. Hurricane Ian did a lot of damage over there. Have you been back? What are your thoughts about where things are, and where are things right now over there in your part of the country where you're from?
I've not been back. I was there about a week or so before it hit, and everybody was kind of getting ready, but it's a hurricane. They come every so often, and it really wasn't a big deal. And when it hit, it was a big deal. So yeah, the coast took the brunt of it. We're inland a little bit, but our houses are fine, and everybody's living in their homes now. Little roof damage here and there, a little screen porch damage, but the main thing was just the amount of water that came onshore. So we have neighbors and friends that houses flooded, and it's I haven't been there. A lot of my family is here for my race and Chad's race, my brother, this weekend, and they're just like, we're just ready to take a break. Like the cleanup and the rebuilding is gonna be for years, and let's just come enjoy the race, and it'll all be there on Monday when we drive back. But they just keep telling me that I won't believe it when I do see it. That even when I come back after Phoenix, I'll get home at some point, and they're like, you will not be able to comprehend what it just looks like another country. Just something you see online or on the news or on TV or online. And so for the farm, we pretty much survived. There's some damage and pole barns are down, but our main facility stayed up and offices are in working order. So we'll be shipping watermelons just like we always have.
Dave Moody, MRN Sirius XM. Obviously, this is the high water mark of your career in terms of competing for a major national championship. How important is it, how difficult is it to remain focused on what we have to do here today instead of letting yourself wander off down the path to, oh my God, in 2 weeks we could be racing for the Cup Series championship?
High mark so far. Luckily for me, I can compartmentalize, I had a conversation this week, and the way we were describing me and this person, we were talking about like their life they felt like was one big box and everything was always intermingled and all the wires were connected. I'm like, no, I think mine is box by box by box. So I open one box and all the other boxes automatically shut. It's just how I'm wired. So I think that's what makes part of my racing ability, for better or worse, what it is that I'm not saying I'm full-blown goldfish, but about every lap feels like a new lap. And when I come back around, I have a new expectation of what I can do, and it doesn't have a lot of bearing. I mean, yeah, I take each lap and build my notebook throughout the weekend and the race and my career, my life, but I can go lap by lap a lot easier than if you ask me to think about something 2 weeks from now. I'm like, man, I'm in Homestead. I haven't even put any thought into Martinsville, let alone Phoenix. So those that know me know that's not just a sweet answer up here, that's the truth. For better or worse sometimes. Sometimes it's not a good thing.
All right, we're gonna do our best to fit in 3 more questions. We're gonna go to Holly, Jerry, and then finish with Tim in the back.
Holly Kane, the NASCAR Wire Service, and this is a little bit of a combination of some of the questions. This is the first time you've come to your home track having won Cup races. You are a Cup winner, you're getting the championship points. Just talk a little bit about what that feels like for you to be here and to be able to say that you did that, and you've got, your people coming to the track and things like that.
It's actually, so the nerves side is an easy one to talk about, and I have less nerves right now than I did a couple years ago when I came here for a truck championship with Nice Motorsports in 2019, because that was the first time that had ever happened. That was the first time I'd ever been in the playoffs and made a run, and we were here fighting for a championship, and that definitely had a lot more nerves. And then this weekend, my brother's running the truck race, so honestly I get more nervous for that. Odd as that sounds, like I'm way more fine with the Cup race and doing everything I need to do with my group. But when I don't have control and he's out racing, I just, wish I could have control, and I don't, right? It's their deal, it's his team, and I'm just up in the grandstands by myself fidgeting. So those two things like play into, it takes my mind off how serious what we're doing with the one car right now. But it feels good, and it feels really good to see the smiles of my family and friends and guys that let me drive race cars when I was 14 years old. Like, there was only a few that weren't my dad, and a couple of those guys are here, and just enjoying the weekend, living out all of our dreams of racing in the Cup Series. And it was their dreams too, and they're living it through me.
Yeah, Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, KickOnTheTires.net. I want to go back to what you said, earlier in the year, people may have thought that the Trackhouse was a flash in the pan, that y'all, wouldn't make it to this level. What was it about Trackhouse this year that, behind the scenes, what happened to the organization, to the crew, to the drivers? to get you to where you're at, to get Daniel to where he was at. You know, how did y'all make that happen, and how did y'all learn this car and build from basically scratch?
Yeah, well, it starts with this car, and this is an unprecedented move by NASCAR and the France family to roll out this car, and everything that it stands for is why Trackhouse is here in the first place. Justin would not have went on this endeavor of cup racing. He's smart enough to know he was never going to catch up with the old car, and so that's why we got here. And then as we got here, look, I don't know why. I don't know enough about race cars to truly know why our cars go as fast as they do. I know the things we do, and I know the procedures we have in place, and we think we know that we're doing the right thing, but it's racing, and somebody can always build a better box. So for me, throughout the year, just continuing to have that speed is why we're not just a quick blip on the Cup Series radar. This is our arrival, and look, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I know why our cars go fast. That's for somebody way smarter than me. I just drive them.
All right, we'll take our final question from Tim.
Tim Reynolds from the AP here in Miami. Kind of an off-topic one to end it on. Were you in school for the Dunk City run? And you believe it's been a decade, and how does that team still kind of resonate for you?
Yeah, so I only did one semester plus 2 weeks of my second semester of college, and Bobby Daughter called me and said, "Hey, let's go run full time. We can, if you can do what you said you can do, then we can do this." So I packed my stuff and wrote a letter to the school and said I'm done, and that would have been, I graduated in 2011, so yeah, I was there the next semester for 2012, or later that year. I don't know where that timing lined up, but followed it, obviously, yeah, followed it. Does it feel like 10 years ago? No, neither does me starting in the sport in 2011 when I was still in high school. It doesn't feel like that long ago. That was a big deal for us, and you know, to me it's a little school, and it was big at the time to go there and come from my little Riverdale high school to big college. But yeah, I didn't stay there long, and I made the jump to Charlotte and Mooresville and chase this dream.
All right, Ross, thank you so much, and good luck this week. The number 12 Team Penske Ford. Go right into questions for Ryan, who would like to start us off. All right, we'll start up here in the front.
Jared Haas with FrontStretch.com. Obviously, Bubba Wallace got penalized, suspended this weekend with this incident with Kyle Larson. You're pretty good friends with Bubba Wallace. Did you talk to him this week, and what is your reaction with NASCAR's response to Bubba Wallace this week?
Yeah, I spoke to him. Didn't speak about that, but you know, it's NASCAR's decision. It's, you know, whatever they thought was the right thing to do in that kind of case. You know, and that's, I don't really speak on too many instances I'm not involved in, but you know, yeah, that's all NASCAR's kind of judgment call, and they kind of did what they thought was fit for it.
Good about.
Bob Proctor's Fox Sports. NASCAR had the Cole Custer penalty the week before. Now this penalty to Bubba. Have they sent any sort of message to drivers? And do you feel like would you change? Would you change any? Does it change any of your thoughts of what you might do in those situations?
Not really. You know, I mean, I personally think it's good that NASCAR is putting kind of the law down, right? Like they hammer down on things that they think is wrong, and they want to act. You know, I mean, it's the only way you can kind of police it, right? You have to do those things. And at the end of the day, like I said, it's their call. You know, if they see something that they don't like, I expect them to act on it, and they have the last couple weeks. So it doesn't approach the way I do anything. You know, in my mind, you know, you never think that, oh, if I do something malicious with intent or something like that, I can get away with it. You know, you always think there's going to be law and order. But I personally like that they're enforcing things. I think that's the way it should be, and that's why they're the sanctioning body.
Go to Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. What's this week been like for you, kind of moving past Las Vegas?
Oh, It was good. Went grocery shopping and watched Dad test it at the dirt track at Charlotte, so that was fun. Yeah, I mean, and then you get ready for here. I mean, it's, you know, you talk to everybody, you know, when you go in the race shop on Monday and Tuesday, and, you know, you see your guys, and you know, we get over things pretty quick. You know, you apologize for, you know, that's a single incident. That's my bad last week. You know, I just tried too hard and ended up wrecking, and, you know, you apologize for that, and we're one big group, so they understand when I mess up, and I understand when they mess up, and we move forward from it. So, you know, we had that deal, and then we just quickly turned to Homestead and what we need to do here to, you know, run well, try to win the race, and try to put ourselves in a good spot, you know, going to Martinsville next week.
Speaking of winning, do you feel like you're in a must-win scenario, or do you feel like you can still punch your way in?
No, I don't think we're in a must-win. You know, after I wrecked last week, I thought I was going to be way more points out than what I actually am. I guess, you know, the stages we ran really good, so luckily we had those. But no, I don't think we're in a must-win. You never know what can happen. You know, I think you can make up those points within the next 2 races, but I'd sure like to win this weekend. But I don't think we're in a must-win. No.
What has stood out to you about Joey Logano and 22 team this year, and what they've been able to do? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've just been really, really consistent. Obviously, they've, you know, winning as much as they have, you know, showing up with good speed. And I think something that he and Paul Wolf do a really good job at is working through the race, you know, especially from practice to the race. Like, I sit in all the meetings, obviously, and sometimes they can be way off in practice and not happy with their stuff. And they do a really good job at talking through it and, you know, getting better for the race and kind of predicting what the track will do. You know, and you try to learn from that, obviously, as much as you can. But yeah, they just do a great job of getting to where they need to be, even if they aren't in the best spot. You know, the day before or even at the start of the race, they do a great job of getting better. So I, you know, obviously commend them for that. And they've really shown strength this year and showed a lot of strength last week and earned themselves a spot at Phoenix. It'd be nice to join them.
Let's go to Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. Along those lines, what you say they do well, what do you need to improve on, and what are your strong points and weak points in the car?
Yeah, you know, Joey and Paul are very well seasoned veterans of the sport. You know, they've been around for a long time, and they do a great job of looking at the bigger picture of things. And something I try to do better is that exact same thing. Kind of look at the bigger picture, look ahead a little bit more than right in front of you in the moment. That's for sure. And they do a really good job of that. And I think that's something that myself and you know, Jonathan's been on vacation for the last few weeks, but Miles has done a great job of stepping in. But I think that's something that, you know, when Jonathan comes back, it's something he and I can really improve on too. You know, it's his first full year crew chiefing. So, you know, it's something I feel like we can really work on is trying to plan ahead a little bit better. And I think we do a good job at it now, but, you know, I can definitely do a better job at that for sure. So, like I said, you try to learn from people who are really good and surround yourself with good people and definitely have that. You just have to apply all those things.
And also for next week with Martinsville, you know, she got to get out of here, but do you see that race as calm or chaotic next week?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that race always kind of gets pretty wild. I hope the racing there is better than the spring. I don't know how it's going to be any better or different from the spring. I don't understand it. There's no changes really. So I think it'll be wild. I mean, you're going to have, you know, let's say a playoff guy wins tomorrow, you're going to have 6 guys trying for 2 spots. So it can definitely be chaotic. So yeah, I think you just have to prepare yourself for anything. I mean, that race is obviously a long one, so you have to be there at the end of that thing, but you know, be aggressive to kind of position yourself, you know, towards the front. Qualifying there was really important. You know, Joey and I qualified really bad there in the spring, and our race runs were great, but we got to, you know, 3rd and 4th, and you were a lot better than 1st and 2nd, but you just can't pass them. You can't even get to them to lay the bumper to them. So we'll see, but I feel like it's going to be pretty aggressive next week per usual.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional questions? Holly?
Holly Payne with the NASCAR Wire. So it's kind of along those lines, and I asked earlier today other drivers, but Does it feel like the aggression is a lot more this season than it has been in past, or are we just interpreting that because of recent events? But does it, for you personally, does it feel like it's any more aggressive in the playoffs than it has been?
Yeah, a little bit. I feel like that's been the kind of the story all year. You know, I feel like we've talked about it all year of, you know, gosh, the racing has been so much more aggressive than what it has been in the past. You know, because I just think the emphasis on winning is, it's weird because, you know, winning means the same now than what it did, you know, in years prior. When you win and you're in, you know, it's the same deal. So I think it's just, it's so hard to win, and these cars are so sturdy that you can be more aggressive with these cars, you know, as far as laying the bumper to somebody, kind of dooring somebody. You're not going to get tire rubs and things like that. So I think that kind of plays into it a little bit. You know, and I feel like restarts have been super aggressive because track position is so important. Like, you know, I feel like track position now is probably the most important that it's ever been, because it's just hard to make it back through the field. A, because the cars are so close, so it's harder to kind of get around guys, and B, the cars can get put in situations to where they're in traffic, they're just kind of a nightmare. So it's definitely put a bigger emphasis on trying to be aggressive. And the playoffs, I don't think the playoffs have been any like more aggressive than the regular season, any different than like the regular season to postseason jump that we see every single year, kind of in the spike in aggression levels. So yeah, I don't think it's been any more aggressive than I expected. Really, it's been fine in my book. So.
Any final questions for Ryan? All right, Ryan.
Thank you.